that was quite quaint, wasn't it? Hearing them talk about customer centricity and so. It's like hearing people talking about making thatched roofs or churning butter or something like that, because we all know that in the near future, none of you are going to be accessing bank accounts or financial services or payments or anything like this, because you're going to have bots that do it for you. Is there anybody in this room who seriously thinks it's fun and interesting to choose a different savings account? No, of course not. And it doesn't matter how.
We've got an
Really?
outlier over there.
I've got to tell you, man, you're an outlier. You are an outlier, probably in more ways than one. But for normal people, this is everybody else in the room across here, for normal people, the idea that it's interesting to access bank accounts, it's interesting to choose payments, you're completely wrong. Wrong to the point of being insane. So it doesn't matter how customer-centric you are, there won't be any customers, because all people, like at the moment I can get you think I'm over-egging the pudding a bit, I think?
Possibly.
No, I'm not. The point is, as soon as I can get a bot that will do this for me, I will. And I think I stand as by the way, I'm not sure we should let people access bank accounts themselves anyway, because you read these things about like self-driving cars, right? Self-driving cars are much safer than having people driving cars, right? I think that's, you've all seen the statistics. I think that's uncontroversial.
Yep.
When you, fairly soon, the idea that you'll be allowed to drive your car into London, for example, will be ridiculous. You'll have to pay extra insurance, because you're doing something dangerous, Well, the same is true for money. The idea that normal people can make better decisions about financial services than even the most rudimentary bot is absolutely ludicrous. So, first question, what were we talking about again? I forgot. Bots. Oh, the AI, the bots thing, yeah. So first question, which I think is worth thinking about, is do you actually want to access your bank account yourself?
So I think there's a want and a need, and I think the need comes from a lack of trust in the technology that's out there at the moment. We've been speaking for years about, digital wallets. Well, first off, we moved from physical payments to digital payments, digital wallets, and then smart wallets, or the concept of smart wallets. And actually, it's not really moved that far, because I think from a consumer's perspective, they're lacking in trust, because if we listen to the media all the time, everything's getting hacked, everything's getting breached. And of course, we have the whole identity debate, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Well,
so I think there's a want and a need. Do I want to manage my money? Not particularly. Do I need to? Yes, practically, but also there's a trust perspective.
Okay, let's come back to the trust thing in a moment, but just go with that want. So there are some things people want to do online or want to do in person. But actually, most things, I say most things, that's probably an exaggeration, but a lot of things that we do are just mundane and boring, and getting bots to do that for you would be a much better idea. But I know I'm saying that rather glibly, but I want you to understand the financial implications of that. So in the UK right now, there's about £300 billion sitting in current accounts that earn no interest. So, and every single one of you, come and challenge me afterwards if you want to, but I think I could say every single person here could go home tonight, look at their accounts, and find out, oh my God, I'm only getting 0.31% here. If I opened up the HSB Super Saver, save with your granny, only draw money out on Wednesdays, I could get 0.75% or whatever. Like every person could do that, and nobody will. No one will, because if you want to open up another one of these accounts, you've got to look through these tables and Money Supermarket and whatever, and then you've got to go and get your passport, move your head around and open the account, and then you've got to transfer the money. And no one does this because they've all got better things to do, but bots don't have better things to do. They don't. Bots could do that all day long. That means you're looking at 300 billion, which vanishes from the financial system. I mean, it doesn't get redistributed to more efficient producers in the way that other fintech things have done. The money just vanishes from the financial system. So it's funny talking about robots accessing bank accounts, but it has pretty serious implications for the industry.
Implications for the industry and implications for the consumer, because how do I know that the bot is acting with my interest. Because not only, I think then you bring in not only the lack of financial literacy, but also you're expecting people to understand how the tech works. And for years we've been saying, we don't talk about the tech, we don't let them, they don't need to understand the tech.
They don't.
But why would they not? How are they going to get trust in their bot?
How many people in this room understand how a laser printer works? I mean, I would guess approximately no one, and yet they all use them quite happily. Now, I disagree with you about the literacy thing. I think trying to teach financial literacy to people is a waste of time and money because it would take so long to do it properly. And even then, they're on TikTok. They don't want to know about financial literacy.
They need a base knowledge.
I think it's irresponsible to let them access it. So we've established point one, which is that people shouldn't be using financial services, bots should be. But you keep dragging this trust thing back into it again.
Yep.
So what do you mean? Because obviously, if I download the Martin Lewis money bot, for £5 a month or whatever, I'd be perfectly happy to let that take care of my... Is there anybody in this room that wouldn't want Martin Lewis managing their finances for them? No, of course not. Some people might choose, like, I don't know, Kim Kardashian or whatever.
Some might.
But in general, I don't think that's a trust problem. What do you mean by a trust problem?
So, I mean, ultimately, behind all of this, it's identity. Because how are we going to know that the bots are interacting, that the bot we're downloading, the app we're downloading is genuine and it's connected, it's been attested that it is the correct application. And I think, go back to the media story, if we listen to everything's being hacked, everything's being breached, we're constantly being scammed. Well, it's no different to applying that lens to bots.
Did you see the story in the paper? I mean, I know you shouldn't pick on people like this, but I just think there was a story last year about a woman who sent $800,000 to Brad Pitt. Did you see that story? Because
one of many.
Well, he was between movies and he was on his uppers a bit. And he was in hospital, wasn't he? I think he twisted his ankle or something. I don't remember. Anyway, but he was in love with this French woman, so she sent him $800,000. Now, ask yourself, we are being scammed all the time, exactly. And by the way, don't feel smug. I mean, I feel sorry for that woman. Don't feel smug about it, because the reason this works is because all of you think you're too smart to get scammed. That's how the scams work. If you were genuinely too smart to get scammed, they'd give it up. So, but now ask yourself this question. If you sent me a picture, actually Brad Pitt wouldn't work, so let's pick a different example. Right, you sent me, wait a sec, I'm starting to wonder if those emails are really from Scarlett Johansson now. That's making me question that. But the point is, if I send you a picture of Brad Pitt staring lovingly into your eyes with his twisted leg in hospital, and he needs $800,000 because he's between movies, I mean, you'd probably send in the money, wouldn't you? I can't see. Luckily, the lights are blinding me. But the thing is, if Brad Pitt's bot sent my bot a message, I think that's a different story. Because we live in a world of things that are trivially falsifiable. Does this look a bit like Brad Pitt? Does this email sound a bit like Brad Pitt? Is that Brad Pitt's Facebook profile? Bots don't live in that world. Bots live in a world of digital signatures and keys and certificates and credentials. So actually, aren't we reckless by allowing people access to their own financial services? Bots are much harder to scam than people are.
I'm still not convinced that we have the identity infrastructure in place to identify. So we can't figure identity for people. So how on earth are we going to figure identity for bots?
Well, you probably haven't heard about the Prime Minister's marvellous scheme to we're all going to have a card or something
rather
that's
than
going
our
to
gas
do.
bill.
Yes, I think the card has like a version of your gas bill on it that you can show to people when you're not. I may not have read it in all of the details, but it's something like that. But yes, you're right. We haven't got that sorted out for people. So.
And have we got it sorted out for businesses?
No, we haven't got it sorted out for businesses either.
Okay.
Look at the palaver at Companies House that's going on right now.
So we haven't got KYC.
No.
fixed. We haven't got KYB fixed.
Okay.
So then, how are we going to do KY? Is it A? K? You know your agent, know your
You're
AI.
an absolute spoil sport, Claire, on
Sorry.
all these kind of things. Well, what we could say is AI identity, KYA, know your agent, like all other identity, comes down. Actually, weren't you at CES last week? Were they talking about AI there? Or were they talking about anything else?
So one of the panels that I spoke on covered the topic of standards and frameworks, and when you actually strip it back, underlying everything needs to be an identity framework, because otherwise you just end up with a whole load of standardized fraud. So yes, of course, you've adopted a particular standard or framework, but if behind everything that needs an identity, and that is your car, your fridge, your bot, yourself, all of it needs an identity.
Okay, so when you say identity to me, because I'm a horrible nerd about these kind of things, in my head that turns into there's going to be a private key, there's going to be a public key. As Bruce Schneier famously said, you know, all identity problems are basically key management problems, and key management is hard. So what do we do? I mean, so this boils down to how are we going to manage those keys for AIs to deal with? And because I'm kind of old-fashioned, very reactionary about this sort of thing, I think unless you've got keys in hardware, you don't really have security. Am I exaggerating?
No, you're absolutely right. And, you know, for the last decade, we've relied on SMS to, you know, you get an SMS and you enter the number, and that is enough of a authentication method.
Because the SIM is secure.
Because allegedly.
Yeah.
So, but of course we've seen, you know, mass SMS frauds have gone out, and people have been able to access bank accounts, access credit cards online, just through two-factor authentication using an SMS.
But if I'm doing something like take Apple Pay as the simple example. I mean, I'm using my Apple Pay wallet online all the time. The reason why that all works so securely is because the private keys are stored in the secure element, right?
Yeah. So you know, Apple have their secure enclave. In the Android world, there are multiple methods to use, but one of them is around, you know, trusted execution environments. And developing secure apps that actually embed onto the silicon within a device.
So for my dreams of digital banking not involving people to be realized, we have to find a way for AIs to establish and maintain their identities. And in order to do that, they have to be able to store their keys securely in hardware.
Yep.
But managing that sounds hard to me.
Yep, absolutely. So hardware, obviously, you know, once it's out there in the market, if there was a change to the architecture or a change to cryptographic libraries, you have to do a recall on a device, a car, whatever it is, whatever has been put into market. So, you know, there are technologies that can actually support that in a software environment, but they link into hardware. And I think that's where you end up with your key storage. Okay,
so this comes down to the $64,000 question then. So for AIs to take part in financial services, they have to have identities. In order to have those identities, they have to be able to manage keys. Those keys to be secure, they have to be stored in hardware. So who are the organizations that know how to manage keys, distribute them securely into devices, to issue identities essentially, and to make sure they stay secure through the whole life cycle? Do such organizations exist?
Well, the banks.
Banks, that's it, we get to the point. So the stuff that banks can do in this environment is not having fancy user interfaces. Like, no one cares about that stuff anymore. If banks are going to play a role in an agentic commerce, agentic finance future, it's going to be because they're managing identities, trust, reputation. Like, that's their real role in that space. And they already know how, well, some people in the banks already know how to do this. So therefore, I'm actually being very positive about banks, right?
Yeah, well, yes, on this one occasion.
Cool, we're out of time.
Yeah.
Cheers.